The Vrax Collective had terrorized the Orion cluster for over 3 centuries. From their fortress worlds in the Hectos system, their warships swept across trade routes like locusts, devouring everything in their path. No species dared challenge them. No civilization could withstand them. Their very name caused antennae to wilt and tentacles to curl in fear. I should know. I was there when they bombarded my homeworld of Vexus Prime. Ambassador Tralviak, said Fleet Commander Zora as she approached my observation post. The human vessel has entered the system. Just one ship, as promised. I turned all 4 of my eye stalks toward her, the membranes across my visual receptors narrowing with suspicion. A single ship? Are they mocking us? The Vrax command fleet includes 17 dreadnoughts, 32 heavy cruisers, and over 100 support vessels. Zora's facial ridges pulsed blue with amusement. Apparently, the humans believe this is adequate. Madness, I muttered, returning my gaze to the holographic display showing the approaching vessel. The ship was unremarkable. A long, sleek design with minimal weapon protrusions and strange, rounded edges. Nothing like the jagged, terror-inspiring silhouettes of Vrax warships. They call it the Aurora. Zora continued, joining me at the display. Their transmission indicated it's a peacekeeping vessel, whatever that means. I couldn't help but laugh. A wheezing sound that rattled through my breathing tubes. Peacekeeping? Against the Vrax? Perhaps humans have a different definition of peace than the rest of us. We'll find out soon enough, Zora replied. They've requested permission to dock at Orbital Station 9. Permission? The Vrax don't ask permission before they obliterate your civilization. What good will human manners do against plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes? Zora's ridges shifted to a contemplative purple. The Coalition Council voted unanimously to accept their offer of assistance. We've tried everything else. She wasn't wrong. After centuries of subjugation, 57 species had formed the Galactic Coalition, pooling resources and military assets in a desperate attempt to resist Vrax dominance. Our combined fleets had engaged the Vrax 6 times. 6 times we were utterly decimated. 2 cycles ago, in an act of desperation, the Coalition had sent envoys to a newly discovered species on the edge of the galaxy, humans from a planet called Earth. Their technology seemed primitive by our standards, but rumors suggested they possessed unusual military tactics. The humans had listened politely to our plea for help, asked a few basic questions about Vrax fleet composition, and then promised to send appropriate assistance. This single ship was apparently their idea of appropriate. I'm going to meet them, I announced suddenly. I need to see these humans for myself, understand what madness drives them to such overconfidence. The Council won't like that, Zora warned. You're supposed to remain at headquarters until what? Until the Vrax annihilate this ship and continue their rampage across our worlds? I've spent 12 years as the Coalition's diplomatic face. If these humans have some secret plan, I deserve to hear it firsthand. Zora hesitated, then nodded. Take my personal shuttle. I'll inform the station of your arrival. Orbital Station 9 orbited the gas giant Pellerin, far from any inhabited worlds, a precaution in case the Vrax tracked the human vessel. As my shuttle approached, I got my first close look at the Aurora. The ship was larger than it had appeared on scanners, roughly 2 kilometers in length, with a gleaming hull that seemed to shift colors as it rotated. There were fewer weapon ports than I expected, though strange bulges along its frame suggested hidden capabilities. Shuttle Alpha 7, you are cleared for docking Bay 3, announced a station controller through my comm system. Ambassador Tralviak, the human captain has been informed of your arrival and will meet you in the diplomatic reception area. After docking, I made my way through the station's curved corridors, my exoskeleton clicking against the polished floor. 2 Coalition security officers fell in beside me as escorts, though whether they were protecting me or ensuring I didn't cause a diplomatic incident remained unclear. The reception area doors hissed open, and I found myself facing a small delegation of humans. They looked soft. Alarmingly soft. No exoskeleton, minimal natural armor, only 2 eyes, and not a single visible defensive appendage. How had such vulnerable creatures survived evolution, let alone spacefaring development? One stepped forward, taller than the others, with facial hair and skin the color of nutrient soil. Ambassador Tralvik. Welcome. I'm Captain Marcus Donovan of the United Earth Naval Vessel Aurora. This is my first officer, Commander Petra Novak, and our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Amal Tamura. I performed the traditional coalition greeting, pressing my upper limbs together. Captain, your presence here is unexpected. How so? He asked, his mouth forming what I recognized from briefings as a smile, supposedly a friendly gesture, rather than the threat display it resembled. The Drakari have destroyed entire armadas. They've wiped out civilizations that stood for millennia, and Earth sends one ship? Captain Donovan's smile widened. One ship is all we need, Ambassador. You cannot be serious, I said, my patience evaporating. The Drakari flagship alone carries weapons that could reduce your vessel to atoms in seconds. Their shields have withstood combined bombardment from 12 coalition capital ships. Commander Novak, a shorter human with head fur pulled tightly back, stepped forward. We've reviewed your tactical data, Ambassador. The Drakari rely heavily on intimidation and overwhelming force. Their actual technology is impressive but not insurmountable. Dr. Tamura nodded in agreement. Their shield modulation sequences are predictable. Their weapon targeting systems prioritize largest threats first, and their command structure is rigid, hierarchical, and slow to adapt. I stared at them in disbelief. And you believe these observations will save you when their fleet arrives? Among other things, Captain Donovan said casually, we've been monitoring their communications. They've already detected us and are mobilizing their response fleet. They'll be here in approximately 48 hours. My eye stalks went rigid with shock. You're using yourself as bait? Deliberately drawing them here? It seemed more efficient than hunting them down individually. Donovan replied with a shrug. Ambassador, I understand your concern, but humanity has faced threats before. We have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. I don't know what a dog is, I said flatly, but I know what the Drakari are capable of. I watched them turn my homeworld's oceans to steam. I saw them shatter our moon for raw materials. No offense intended, Captain, but your confidence borders on delusional. Captain Donovan's expression turned serious. Ambassador, humanity spent most of its history fighting itself. When we weren't fighting, we were preparing to fight. War is practically encoded in our DNA. While your coalition was building wonders and expanding peaceful trade networks, we were perfecting the art of destroying our enemies. And yet you claim to be here on a peacekeeping mission, I noted skeptically. The fastest path to peace is sometimes through decisive action, Commander Novak interjected. The Drakari understand only strength and dominance, so that's what we'll show them. Station officer rushed into the room, his breathing labored. Captain, Ambassador, our long-range scouts report the Drakari fleet has changed course. They're coming at full speed. New estimated arrival, 16 hours. Donovan didn't seem surprised. They're eager to make an example of us. Good. That means they'll be reckless. He turned to his officers. Prepare the Aurora for immediate departure. Initiate Operation Thunderclap. You're leaving? I asked, unable to hide my dismay. Even this single ship provided some psychological comfort. No, Ambassador, Donovan replied. We're going to meet them halfway. I'd like you to join us. Me? Why? Because you deserve to see what happens. And because afterward, the coalition will need someone who witnessed everything firsthand. He extended a hand toward me, another human custom I'd been briefed on. Against all logic and self-preservation instinct, I found myself accepting. 6 hours later, I stood on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the vast emptiness of space through a panoramic viewscreen. The human vessel was unlike any ship I'd ever been aboard. The bridge was spacious yet practical, with crew stations arranged in concentric circles around a central command area where Captain Donovan now stood, calmly reviewing information on floating holographic displays. Drakari fleet detected at extreme scanner range, announced a young human at what appeared to be the sensor station. 17 capital ships, plus escorts, exactly as intelligence predicted. Composition? Donovan asked, matching known Drakari formations. Flagship Desolator at the center, flanked by heavy cruisers in defensive pattern. Fighter screens deployed in advanced positions. I shifted uncomfortably. Captain, I feel compelled to point out that we are now facing the entire Drakari command fleet with a single vessel. Even if your ship possesses technology unknown to the Coalition, the disparity in firepower is significant. Captain Donovan glanced at me with that unnerving smile again. Ambassador, do you know what makes humanity different from most spacefaring species? Your apparent death wish? I suggested. He laughed. A booming sound that startled several of my eye stalks into retracting. No. It's that we never developed along a single technological path. Most species perfect one approach to problem solving and build their civilization around it. The Drakari, for instance, focused entirely on energy weapons and brute force, and humans didn't. We tried everything. Simultaneously, competing nations, companies, even individuals pursued thousands of different technological approaches. For every breakthrough that succeeded, 100 failed. But we kept those failures in our back pocket, just in case. Commander Novak approached with a data tablet. All systems ready, Captain. Caesar is online and has calculated optimal engagement parameters. Caesar? I inquired. Combat Enhanced Analytical System for Advanced Response. Dr. Tamura explained, joining us. An AI tactical system that processes battlefield information thousands of times faster than organic beings could. Drakari ships entering visual range, announced the sensor officer. They're hailing us, sir. On screen, Donovan ordered, straightening his uniform. The view screen flickered, and I instinctively stepped back as the image of Supreme Commander Vexnar filled the display. Like all Drakari, he was a terrifying sight, nearly 3 meters tall, with chitinous armor plates covering a muscular frame, forearms ending in razor-sharp claws, and a face dominated by mandibles surrounding a mouth full of serrated teeth. Attention, unknown vessel. Vexnar growled, his translator giving his words a metallic edge. You have entered Drakari's sovereign territory. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Donovan stepped forward, completely unfazed. This is Captain Marcus Donovan of the Earth vessel Aurora. We represent the United Nations of Earth and have come at the request of the Galactic Coalition. Vexnar's compound eyes narrowed. Earth? I am unfamiliar with your species, human. Your ignorance of Drakari dominance is the only reason you still live. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Your ship will be added to our fleet, and your crew will serve in our labor colonies. This mercy is offered only once. To my amazement, Donovan chuckled. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander Vexnar. In fact, I have a counter-proposal. The Drakari Collective will immediately cease all hostilities against Coalition worlds, withdraw to your home system, and begin reparations for the damage you've caused. This mercy is offered only once. Vexnar's mandibles clicked in what I recognized as rage. You dare? One ship against our armada? Your species must be even more primitive than I thought if you cannot count. Oh, we can count, Donovan replied calmly. We simply reached a different conclusion about what those numbers mean. You have 1 hour to consider our terms. With a gesture, Donovan cut the transmission. I stared at him in disbelief. Captain, you do realize you just threatened the most powerful military force in this sector of the galaxy? Did I? Donovan asked innocently. Commander Novak, what's the status of our special packages? Delivery systems primed and ready, she replied. Team standing by. Dr. Tamura approached with another data tablet. Final simulations complete. Caesar predicts 97.3% success probability for Phase 1, 89.2% for Phase 2. Excellent, Donovan said. Then turned to me. Ambassador, you might want to prepare yourself. What you're about to witness hasn't been seen in this part of the galaxy before. What exactly am I about to witness? I asked. His expression turned grim. The reason why, throughout our violent history, Humans learned one crucial lesson: never force us into a corner. Because what makes humans truly dangerous isn't our technology, Ambassador. It's our creativity when it comes to warfare. The bridge fell silent as the massive Drakari fleet moved into attack formation on the view screen, weapons charging, fighters deploying. Against the backdrop of their overwhelming numbers, our single ship looked like a prey animal facing a pack of predators. Yet somehow, illogically, I found myself believing that the predators were the ones in danger. Captain Donovan settled into his command chair, oddly relaxed as Apocalypse approached. Begin countdown to Operation Thunderclap. Ambassador Tralvik, I suggest you hold on to something. The next few hours are going to be quite educational. And as the distance between us and the Drakari fleet rapidly closed, I couldn't help but wonder if this was the beginning of the end for Drakari dominance, or just another tragic chapter in the Coalition's long history of failed resistance. Little did I know, I was about to witness how a single human warship would change the fate of our galaxy forever. 30 seconds to engagement range, announced the tactical officer, a focused woman named Lieutenant Yolanda Reyes. I gripped the support railing beside me, my exoskeleton creaking with tension. The massive Drakari warships loomed larger by the second, their weapon ports glowing with charged energy. Even their smallest escort vessel dwarfed the Aurora. They're not responding to our ultimatum, Commander Novak reported, checking her console. All Drakari vessels have activated weapons systems and raised shields. Captain Donovan nodded, unsurprised. Right on schedule. Dr. Tamura, initiate Phase 1. Initiating, the science officer confirmed, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Caesar system is calculating optimal delivery vectors. I leaned toward Commander Novak. What exactly is Phase 1? She gave me a look that somehow combined reassurance and mischief. We call it the Trojan Protocol. Watch. The view screen shifted to a tactical display showing small objects suddenly detaching from the Aurora's hull, hundreds of them. It's scattering in all directions like seeds from a bursting pod. Deployment successful, Dr. Tamura announced, all packages away. Donovan turned to me. Bye, Ambassador. Ambassador, one thing we noticed about Drakari technology is their over-reliance on automated defense systems. Their shields are impressive but predictably modulated. Their targeting computers prioritize based on mass and energy signatures. Their communication systems are standardized across all vessels, all weaknesses. Commander Novak added, if you know how to exploit them. On the tactical display, the tiny objects released from the Aurora were now approaching the Drakari fleet. I expected them to be intercepted by point defense systems or fighter screens, but strangely, the Drakari vessels seem to ignore them entirely. They're not even registering our packages on their sensors, Lieutenant Reyes reported with evident satisfaction. Of course not, Dr. Tamura said. Each micro-drone contains a quantum field generator that makes it register as background radiation. Nothing worth targeting. Several tense minutes passed as the cloud of invisible objects infiltrated the Drakari formation. Captain Donovan remained calm, occasionally sipping from a container of what humans called coffee, a stimulant beverage that smelled both enticing and toxic. Incoming transmission from the Drakari flagship, announced the communications officer. On screen, Donovan ordered. Supreme Commander Vexnar appeared again, his mandibles spread wide in what I recognized as a gesture of contemptuous amusement. Your time has expired, human. Your silence is interpreted as rejection of our generous terms. Prepare to witness the fate of those who defy the Drakari Collective. Donovan set down his coffee container. Actually, Commander, I was just about to contact you. Your terms remain unchanged, but I thought you deserved one final warning before we proceed. Vexnar's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Drakari equivalent of laughter. Warning? Your pathetic vessel cannot even damage our smallest escort. Your bravado is noted but futile. The Drakari have conquered hundreds of worlds and exterminated dozens of species who showed similar arrogance. There's a crucial difference between them and us, Donovan replied, his voice hardening. They weren't human. With a casual gesture, he cut the transmission. Dr. Tamura, are all packages in position? Affirmative, Captain. Full penetration achieved. Excellent. Execute Phase 1. Dr. Tamura pressed a sequence of commands, then looked up. Signal sent. 3 seconds to activation. What happened next defied everything I understood about space warfare. Across the Drakari fleet, ships suddenly began losing power. Weapons systems deactivated. Shields flickered and failed. Communication arrays went silent. Even life support systems showed disruption. Massive dreadnoughts drifted out of formation, their engines sputtering. Fighter craft tumbled helplessly through space. Mayor, what did you do? I whispered, unable to tear my eye stalks from the incredible sight. Remember those packages? Commander Novak explained. Each one contained a specialized electromagnetic pulse generator, calibrated to the exact frequency of Drakari power systems. Once attached to their hulls, they synchronized and delivered a simultaneous, system-wide cascade failure. But their shields, I protested, were designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles. Dr. Tamura interjected. Not microscopic drones that registered as harmless background radiation. Once through the shields, our packages attached to their hulls and waited for the signal. Captain Donovan stood, straightening his uniform. Phase 2, Commander. Target the flagship and primary command vessels. Precision strikes only. Aye, Captain, Novak responded, relaying the orders to tactical. The Aurora surged forward, gliding between disabled Drakari vessels. Hatches opened along its hull, revealing weapon systems previously concealed. But they weren't the energy cannons or missile launchers I expected. Instead, they looked like focusing arrays, targeting systems locked on flagship command center. Lieutenant Reyes announced, quantum disruptors at full charge. Fire, Donovan ordered calmly. Beams of shimmering energy lanced out from the Aurora, bypassing the flagship's hull entirely. Instead of explosive impacts, the beams seemed to phase through the outer structure, precisely targeting internal systems. Direct hit on command and control nodes, Reyes reported. Secondary targets acquired. More beams fired, each striking with surgical precision. No explosions. No destruction. Just targeted, internal damage that left the vessels intact but completely incapacitated. What kind of weapons are those? I asked, mesmerized by their efficiency. The quantum phase disruptors. Dr. Tamura explained. They don't destroy matter. They temporarily break down the quantum bonds holding it together. We're essentially turning their critical systems into briefly organized chaos. Targeting complete. Reyes announced, all command vessels neutralized. Captain Donovan nodded. Open a channel to the Drakari fleet, all frequencies. The communications officer complied, and Donovan addressed the enemy. Attention Drakari vessels. Your fleet has been neutralized. Your command structure disrupted. We could destroy each of your ships right now, but that's not our way. Instead, I invite Supreme Commander Vexnar to transport aboard our vessel to discuss terms of surrender. Silence followed. Then, a different Drakari appeared on screen, older, with battle scars crossing his faceplates. Supreme Commander Vexnar is incapacitated. I am Fleet Admiral Kraz Neke. Your attack was unexpected. Not an attack, Admiral Donovan corrected. A demonstration. Had this been an actual attack, none of you would be alive to have this conversation. Now, about those surrender terms. 3 hours later, I found myself in the Aurora's conference room, watching in stunned disbelief as Fleet Admiral Kraz Neke, acting leader of the Drakari forces, that affixed his mark to the surrender document. Captain Donovan signed for Earth, while I represented the Coalition's interests. The terms were surprisingly merciful: complete withdrawal from Coalition space, reparations for damaged worlds, and demilitarization of the Drakari fleet under supervision. In exchange, the Drakari homeworlds would remain sovereign and protected under a new treaty. As Krasnek departed with a Coalition escort, I turned to Captain Donovan. I still don't understand. You could have annihilated them completely. After centuries of terror and countless atrocities, many would say they deserved it. Donovan's expression turned solemn. That's precisely why we didn't. Ambassador. Throughout our history, humans have learned that while victory through overwhelming destruction is possible, it rarely leads to lasting peace. But how can you be certain they won't rebuild and attack again? Because we didn't just defeat their fleet today. Commander Novak explained, joining us. We shattered their mythology. The Drakari ruled through fear, through the belief that they were invincible. That myth is now broken forever. Dr. Tamura nodded in agreement. Additionally, we've installed monitoring systems throughout their territory. Any attempt to rebuild military capability beyond the treaty limits will trigger an immediate response. Besides, Donovan added with a wry smile, we kept one particularly important detail from them. What detail? I asked. The Aurora isn't a warship at all. It's a diplomatic vessel retrofitted with defensive capabilities. Our actual warships are considerably more formidable. My eye stalks rippled in shock. That's terrifying. That's the point, Donovan replied. The best victories are the ones you never have to fight. By demonstrating what even our peaceful ships can do, we've ensured the Drakari won't risk discovering what our military vessels are capable of. I must say, Captain, your species approaches conflict unlike any I've encountered before, I admitted. Most civilizations either embrace warfare completely or reject it entirely. You seem to have found a middle path. We had good teachers, Donovan said cryptically. Who? Is ourselves. Our history is filled with war, Ambassador Trolvik, endless conflicts that nearly destroyed us many times. Eventually, we realized that the goal of warfare shouldn't be destruction, but rather creating the conditions for lasting peace. Commander Novak guided us toward the observation lounge, where the disabled Drakari fleet was visible through large transparent panels. Coalition vessels had arrived and were assisting with repairs and evacuation of damaged ships. There's another human saying. Donovan continued, if you seek peace, prepare for war. But we've modified it somewhat over the centuries. If you truly want peace, understand war so completely that you can win without fighting it. The Coalition Council will be eager to establish formal relations with Earth, I said, my mind already racing with diplomatic possibilities. Your technology, your tactical approaches, they could revolutionize our defense capabilities. That's one possibility. Donovan agreed, though we hope to offer more than just military advantages. Earth has much to share in terms of art, culture, medicine, and science, and much to learn from the Coalition as well. A thought suddenly occurred to me. Captain, if the Aurora isn't a warship, and it could do this much damage, what exactly does a human warship look like? Donovan, Novak, and Tamara exchanged glances, and then all three smiled in a way that sent a shiver through my exoskeleton. Let's hope the galaxy never needs to find out, Donovan replied. That was 5 years ago. The Drakari Collective has honored the treaty terms, withdrawing to their home systems and focusing on internal development rather than conquest. The Galactic Coalition has flourished in their absence, with trade routes reopening and devastated worlds beginning to recover. Earth formally joined the Coalition 2 years ago, bringing with them innovations that have transformed our understanding of technology, medicine, and even governance. Human diplomatic vessels now patrol former conflict zones, their mere presence enough to deter pirates and opportunistic raiders. As for me, I now serve as the Coalition's ambassador to Earth, a prestigious position that has given me unprecedented insight into these fascinating, contradictory beings. Humans are capable of tremendous compassion and horrifying violence, often within the same individual. They create beautiful art and music, yet design weapons of terrifying efficiency. They value peace profoundly, precisely because they understand war so intimately. Perhaps most surprisingly, humans are remarkably ordinary in most respects. They have no extraordinary physical abilities, no natural weapons, no remarkable sensory advantages. What makes them exceptional is their adaptability, their creativity when faced with challenges, and their absolute determination when threatened. The diplomatic archives on my homeworld contain records dating back thousands of years, documenting encounters with hundreds of spacefaring species. I recently added my own entry about humanity, concluding with an observation that has since become something of a guideline for coalition diplomats. In your dealings with humans, remember this: they make excellent friends, terrifying enemies, and nothing in between. Treat them with respect, engage them honestly, and never, ever corner them. Because the most dangerous thing in the known galaxy isn't a Drakari dreadnought or a quantum disruptor, or even a supernova. It's a human who believes they have nothing to lose. It may seem well. The Supreme Council questioned this assessment, suggesting I was perhaps overstating the case based on a single encounter. In response, I arranged a cultural exchange tour of Earth for several council members. They visited human museums of military history, observed training exercises, and attended strategic planning simulations. They returned subdued, with a new appreciation for my warning. When asked about his impression, High Counselor Vextral said only, "Thank the eternal stars they value peace, and pray to those same stars that the galaxy never gives them reason to fully unleash their capacity for war." One human phrase has become particularly popular among coalition species: "Thank goodness they're on our side." It's often said with nervous laughter, a mixture of gratitude and apprehension that perfectly captures how the galaxy now views humanity. As for Captain Donovan and the Aurora, they continue their peacekeeping missions along the edges of known space, making first contact with newly discovered civilizations. I sometimes wonder what those species think when they encounter humans for the first time, these soft, seemingly vulnerable beings who speak of peace while their actions whisper of tremendous destructive capability kept carefully in check. Do they recognize the paradox before them? Do they sense the steel beneath the silk? Or do they, as the Drakari did, mistake humanity's preference for peace as weakness, only to discover too late the error in their judgment? Whatever the case, one thing has become abundantly clear to all spacefaring civilizations: the galaxy became a much safer place the day humanity sent a single warship to end the reign of terror that had lasted for centuries. And wiser species pray it never needs to send a second one.